Welcome again to another edition of Flashpoint Radio. I am your host, Jay-Z, and I am coming to you taped live on Wednesday, February 15th. I hope your Valentine's Day went well, and I hope you paid our corporate owners plenty of your hard-earned Federal Reserve notes. This is a supplemental edition since I was unable to record last night, not because I went out to Valentine's Day dinner, but because I was selling my car and making myself a little bit of cheese. We're going to get right into it. It seems like the police state, prison planet, tyranny news just keeps coming at a fast and furious pace. First off, though, we're going to talk about the U.S. airline industry. This comes to us from Yahoo News. It's a Reuters report. Flights by U.S. airlines hit 10-year low. U.S. Airlines in 2011 operated the fewest number of flights since the hijack attacks on New York and Washington depressed air travel and accelerated the industry's worst ever financial downturn, government figures on Tuesday showed. This article goes through, it whitewashes the decrease in flights and air travel and people getting on airplanes. And, says things like, well, the government needs to do more, and the government needs to pay more money, and President Barack Obama needs to sign into law the $63 billion legislation funding the FAA, because yes, the FAA is the reason. The FAA not having enough money and putting 30,000 drones in the air is the reason the airline industry cannot make any money and can't get people to get on their airplanes. Could it be that Americans are tired of getting their genitals groped and their children patted down? They're tired of babies' diapers being opened up, colostomy bags taken off, and 90-year-old women strip searched. Search start page every term I just said, and you will see the records of those instances happening. Maybe they're tired of the TSA. Maybe they're tired of being treated like terrorists. Maybe they realize that you are 16,000% more likely to die from a drug interaction or a legal drug death than you are from terrorism. You're more likely to die from a bee sting, get run over by a car, drown. Let's see, what else were some of the funny things that happen more than terrorist attacks? Peanut allergies kill more people. Regular allergies kill more people. Hell, it's almost that shark attacks kill more people than terrorists do every year. But no. We have to be treated like terrorists at airports because, damn it, we might take over a plane with box cutters. Box cutters, right? Box cutters. Would you die because of an Arabian man had a box cutter? No, I don't think so. You should question 9/11. Just do the research. I'm not going to take the time to convince you of the fairy tale that is in your mind. We're going to move right on to it. This comes to us from Dallas-Fort Worth CBS. Call of Duty game leads to prank Louisville 911 call. This is our police in action. Turns out a 15-year-old boy was playing Call of Duty on his Xbox, playing online with his friends, talking on the headset. I guess he upset somebody by beating him too bad, and that person supposedly called the police department and reported that shots were fired and there was still a gunman in their home. So what happened? The SWAT team showed up within minutes. 20 minutes later, the SWAT team showed up. And the best part about it is the Louisville 911 received the call from AT&T Message Relay Service. This is the service for deaf people to call and type in their computer and have someone speak through the phone. Really? Really, police? You don't think that might be a way that someone could disguise their voice or reroute their phone call? But now you had to send a SWAT team to this person's house, and the parents came out, saw that there was a SWAT team on their front door, went right back inside like any normal person would do, and that freaked out the cops. Because, of course, running away from the SWAT team, that's something a terrorist would do. Moving right along, Tyranny comes home, New York City. This comes from NBC4. NYPD stop and frisks hit all-time high. It states city police officers stopped and questioned 684,330 people on the street last year, a record since the NYPD began taking tallies in 2002, a 14% increase since 2010. You're walking down the street, minding your own business. A police officer stops you, asks you for your ID. What are you doing? Questions you about your motives and where you're headed. Where have I heard this before? Armed guards, armed agents of the government questioning normal, law-abiding citizens on the road, on the street of where they're going. Oh yeah, that's right, Nazi Germany. Thank you, New York City. You are now Hitler-esque Germany. This is absolutely ridiculous. And look at this. Of those stopped, about 12% were arrested or received summonses. And I wonder how many of those summonses are for failure to obey orders, which is what they call it when you refuse to give them your ID. Guess what, people? If you're not a criminal, the police do not hold any authority over you. If a cop asks you while you're walking down the road to see your ID, you do not have to give him your ID. And if he detains you, that is an arrest. That is a legal arrest, and he is violating your Fourth Amendment rights, and you can sue him personally because police officers do not have qualified immunity when it comes to your constitutional rights. Look it up. Pass this on to your police officer friends. They'll say, how do you know what qualified immunity is? You're not supposed to know those terms. Those are terms for our lawyers and our law department, and those are terms we know. You're not supposed to know what our rights are. Sorry. You need to learn what your rights are, and you need to challenge the authority. Make them prove that they know as much about the Constitution and your constitutional rights as you do. Because I'd put my bottom dollar on that they do not. And we're going to move right on into this report. I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of what not to do when you go to the doctor's office. This comes to us from InfoWars. Prepper declared mentally defective, put on FBI list. David Sardi of Lebanon, Texas, visited his cardiologist named Andre C. Olivier, who examined Sardi and told him he would have to run tests. Took his blood and ran some tests. Sardi did not receive a response from his doctor, and he decided to call his doctor back and see what it was. Doctor said there was nothing wrong with his heart, but he could have tubes inserted to help alleviate his breathing difficulties. Mr. Sardi is an overweight gentleman, which is perfectly within his rights to be overweight, and he was having a hard time breathing and having some chest pains. Doctor stated he wanted to have tubes inserted. Quote, when Sardi refused to have tubes inserted, Olivier insinuated that he could be suicidal and insisted on Sardi going to the emergency room. Sardi refused and left the hospital, but within 15 minutes of arriving home, 15 minutes, this is what the government has to do with their time. Within 15 minutes, police arrived at his home and forcibly took him to the emergency room. So because he did not listen to his doctor and didn't want to do what his doctor said, that doctor said he was suicidal. Police came to his house and took him to the emergency room. Sardi was subsequently placed in hospital for observation for a period of 4 days before an attorney and a judge arrived to hear his story. He repeatedly emphasized that he was not suicidal and would not commit suicide because he was a Christian and he believes suicide is against his belief system. When Sardi later, this is where the story turns, tyranny. When Sardi later attempted to purchase a Glock 21 firearm, he was flagged by the National Instant Criminal Background Check System and refused the sale. When he appealed, he received a letter from the FBI stating he had been declared mentally defective and he was not allowed to own firearms. So this man's crime was not going by his doctor's recommendation, by making his own decision regarding his own health, because he didn't want to go through surgery to insert breathing tubes into his own body. So since he did not obey his doctor's order, who his doctor obviously holds the commanding power over his body and is the is the owner of his body, that doctor called the government and he got put on a list and he can no longer buy a firearm. Are you kidding me? Does this not scare you people? Do you have a firearm? Do you know if you can own a firearm? Do you know if you're on the FBI's list and marked as mentally defective? So yes, if you refuse the treatment that your doctor gives you, you can lose your right to own a firearm. This gentleman was distraught. He was very downtrodden, and he was close to giving up on his life, but he has turned around through support of the Gun Owners of America who are helping him, and he is getting his confidence back, and he is getting some positivity left in his life. Oh, by the way, he had to go to Gun Owners of America, who I recommend. Why? Because he attempted to get legal defense from the NRA, National Rifle Association, but they ended up refusing to take his case. Why? Because the NRA does not care about you. The NRA cares about the power that they wield through lobbying the government. They are in bed with the government. They don't care about your Second Amendment rights. They care about your money. They care about your membership fees, and that is it. You should drop out of the NRA and join with Gun Owners of America. That is what I have done since my NRA membership has lapsed. I will never give them another dollar because they do not really support my Second Amendment rights. They are only there as a conduit between the people and the government, but they still respect the government's authority over you. That is another case and another edition of Flashpoint Radio in the bag. Tyranny comes home. The police state in your backyard. Keep watching, people. I'm telling you, this is happening. These are all real stories. This is happening in your country because you decided to let the government pass stupid laws because you thought, well, might as well. They're not hurting me. I'm not doing anything wrong. Well, guess what happens? One day, you'll do something wrong, and the tyranny will not show you any mercy. It will come down on you like a blackjack. So thanks for watching Flashpoint Radio. Follow me on Twitter at Flashpoint Radio, Facebook/Flashpoint Radio. I'm Jay-Z signing off, saying God bless and keep your eyes to the sky.